Hi. So have you ever wondered as a student that आपने सब कुछ लिख दिया इस आंसर में एग्जाम में but still you never got marks, the marks you really desired. 5 marks का क्वेश्चन है, I could just get 3 marks जब मैंने सब कुछ लिख दिया. What is the reason why the other student got more marks than me? Well, let me tell you one thing. Being in this teaching industry for more than a decade and I have checked मेरे ख्याल से more than 1,000 papers. The same mistakes get repeated every time I check a paper, and the ones who haven't scored, they have the same mistakes. And if we try to tell the students to improve, the ones who listen to us, they go a notch higher, and the ones who don't, they stay there. So this is Dr. Deepika Tikku, a pharmacology excellence coach, and though I'm a pharmacology excellence coach, I'm going to talk about the 6 most effective hacks while you're writing your exam. And this can be applied to any subject. If you follow these steps, be rest assured that nothing can stop you from scoring your ideal marks. So let's get started. Hack number 1. Always when you get the paper in the examination hall, just remember to scan through the paper first. एक बार उसको सारे पेपर को एक बार ध्यान से देखो. Read all the questions, right? Do not just start writing. So read all the questions first. Check the marks distribution. Very, very important. Please make sure you know how much you're answering for. 5 marks का question है, 2 लाइनें लिखोगे. 2 marks का question है, पूरा पेज भर दोगे. That doesn't make any sense, right? So never rush. Just 2 minutes लगते हैं to scan the paper, right? The first step. Then divide your paper into your time slots. So depending on the amount of the weightage the question has, so you divide the answers accordingly, your questions accordingly. Stick to that. So if you say a question is of 10 marks, definitely you want to give more time, maybe around 10 minutes to that question. If a question is about 2 marks, you wouldn't want to spend 15-20 minutes on that question. If you do not know a question, leave the area and skip to the other question that you know. It happens when you do all the questions that you know, your confidence level really goes up. And then even the questions जो आपको पहले नहीं आते थे, you can easily attempt those questions. At least you can write 1 or 2 liners about those questions. But do not waste time on those questions which you do not know in the first go, right? And divide the time in such a way that at last you have at least 5 to 10 minutes to do a quick revision, because revision के time पे बहुत बार ऐसा होता है we tend to skip out on certain things and that we can overcome while we are revising the topics. Also, one thing here I would like to add is that in your examination it is always best that you attempt your paper in the serial order only. Examiner has to check hundreds of papers. You don't want him, looking for your answer, piche, aage, and that leaves him irritated. You will lose marks. So please go by the psychology of the examiner. I'm an examiner myself. If I have to look through for question number 2, 10 ke baad kiya hai, I'll not bother looking because already mentioned hai you have to attempt in serial order, right? So even if I just tend to look, I will not give as much marks as I should have given or would have given had the answer being written in the correct format. Make that very clear. Then hack number 3, be consistent in handwriting. Yes, please. Do not actually follow the movie The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. And what I mean by that is you start in a very good handwriting, the first 1 or 2 questions, middle portion tak it becomes little bad and last tak it becomes really ugly. पढ़ ही नहीं सकता examiner आपने क्या लिखा है. How do you expect that you will get marks for that? So be consistent, because if you actually stick to the second step, that is time management, your handwriting will be consistent. So do not beautify also इतना ज़्यादा beautifully first 1-2 questions को भी ना करो कि इतना time spend करो कि बाकी paper करने के लिए आपके पास time नहीं बचे. Give equal, when you distribute your question paper, just stick to that time. So if you stick to that time limit, the chances are more that you will be consistent in your handwriting. Let's come to hack number 4. Yeah, draw to impress. What I mean by that, wherever possible and wherever it is applicable, you should draw diagrams. I'll tell you about me. When I look at a paper, I myself am very fond of drawing diagrams. So if I look at a paper, it's a long question and the candidate has written, paragraphs and paragraphs, it becomes very difficult for me to look for the key points, what he tries to answer. But on the other hand, yes, paragraph or points are written, but the student has also drawn a beautifully well labeled diagram which is pertinent जो question पूछा गया है. I would know instantly that this child knows the subject. And if that child knows, and the chances are, because I have so many papers to check, I won't even go through all those details. So he gets the benefit that अगर कोई छोटी मोटी गलती उसने paragraph में कर भी दी, but because he knows the diagrams, उसने इतनी अच्छी तरह बनाया, इतना अच्छी तरह explain किया, I will give maximum marks to that person. Right? So wherever short 1 or 2 marks a question में, please don't bother to make diagrams. That you will not, because या 1 mark मिलेगा या maximum 2 marks मिलेंगे. So diagram won't make much of a difference. This diagram hack works maximally in those questions which are long form, which are like more than 5 to 10 marks a question में. This works beautifully. Hack number 5, underline with a pencil or a pen, because mostly in the final university exams you're not allowed to use a marker or a colored pen. You may not be allowed. If it is allowed, it's well and good. In case that is not allowed, then what you do is you have a pencil, you have a pen. Okay? So blue and black are allowed. So if you're writing in blue, underline with black the key points. So that's how you master the art of handwriting, writing a question. So you are actually giving those key points to the examiner in a platter कि आप उसको इधर उधर देखने से रोक रहे हो. तो आपको जो पक्के आपके अच्छे पॉइंट्स हैं जो एक क्वेश्चन पूछे गए हैं, यू आर जस्ट पुटिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ द एग्जामिनर. तो एग्जामिनर उन की पॉइंट्स को देखेगा एंड वो इधर उधर देखेगा नहीं. एंड व्हेन यू हैव ऑल दोज key takeaways underlined beautifully, chances are that again you have become the top scorer in that particular answer. Now coming to the last but not the least hack, never ever leave any question unattempted. University examinations mein there is no negative marking. So if you have written nothing in that question, you will not get any marks, right? So what you do is, as I told you, if you don't know a question, just leave some space for that and skip to all the other questions. So when you come back to the question जो आपने छोड़ दिया था, एक तो चांस होता है बिकॉज आपका बाकी पेपर अच्छा गया है, सो यू आर मोर कॉन्फिडेंट नाउ, कुछ ना कुछ आपको इस बारे में पता चल जाता है. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई एम टेलिंग यू फ्रॉम द सब्जेक्ट ऑफ फार्माकोलॉजी, इफ यू आस्क्ड टू क्लासिफाई ड्रग्स यूज्ड इन कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर, आपको नहीं आता, लेट्स से, पर एटलीस्ट आपको ये आता है कि व्हाट इज कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर, तो राइट दैट. तो ऐसे में आपको 0 नहीं मिलेगा, एटलीस्ट यू गेट 1 mark or 1.5 mark if the examiner is very lenient. Because university examinations में I tell you one more thing, what the mindset of the examiner is, वो maximum बच्चों को पास करना चाहते हैं. But अगर आपने आंसर ही नहीं लिखा तो आप पास कैसे होंगे? So please do not leave answers or questions unattempted, right? हाँ, अगर आप कुछ और लिखोगे, पूछा आपको CHF है, लिखोगे आप angina, definitely you won't get marks, no? And that is not my point. My point is उस question के बारे में अगर आप कुछ भी आता है, उस डिजीज़ के बारे में आपको कुछ भी आता है, आप 1 or 2 lines mention करेंगे, and that will save you from getting a 0. At least you'll get 1 marks. And it's really, really important these days to score in each, passing marks in each and every section of the paper. So every question counts. So in the end, the biggest takeaways, the 6 biggest takeaways that I had to share with you: scan your paper first, go through all the questions, read all the questions, and when you're attempting those questions now, again you can read the question कि आपने कुछ मिस तो नहीं कर दिया, क्या उन्होंने थेरेपेटिक यूजेस पूछा है सिर्फ, या थेरेपेटिक यूजेस एडवर्स इफेक्ट्स पूछे. कई बार हम जल्दी पढ़ के हम एडवर्स इफेक्ट्स मिस कर देते हैं. ओनली राइट योर थेरेपेटिक यूजेस. सो फर्स्ट यू स्कैन द पेपर एज अ होल, and when you're attempting one by one, again go through that question and always refer to the marks. कि मैनेजमेंट आपको टाइम की तभी अच्छी तरह होगी जब आप मार्क्स को फॉलो करोगे. लेजिबल हैंड राइटिंग प्लीज़, मोती नहीं पिरोने, हमें इतना टाइम नहीं होता, लेंथी पेपर होता है, बट हमें अच्छी हैंड राइटिंग करनी है. ठीक है, मोती पिरोने का काम मैं अभी नहीं कहती बिकॉज इट इज़ डिफिकल्ट, यू डोंट हैव दैट मच टाइम, And but it should be good enough for the examiner to read your answers. Draw your diagrams. They will always support you in long questions. And definitely जिस बच्चे ने diagram बनाया होगा, आप कभी भी देख लेना, उसको extra marks मिलते हैं as compared to the child who's not drawn. Highlight your key points. Again, that adds a good impression in front of the examiner. He will definitely be happy that you've saved his time from looking into all that pile of, the big paras that you've written. So if you put that key points in front of him, he'll be more than happy, and happiness mein hi aapko number mil jayenge. And attempt all the questions. Do not leave questions unattempted. Whatever you know about that particular topic, at least write a 1 or 2 liner. So in the end, I would like to show you a slide of how an ideal answer looks. So for example, in pharmacology, you're asked to write about the therapeutic uses and adverse effects of benzodiazepine, and it carries 5 marks. So the ideal way to answer is first you'd write in 1 line, what are benzodiazepines? And give an example. For example, give an example of diazepam, right? Or alprazolam. Give just example. Do not classify. Classification पूछी नहीं है. Don't classify. Just write the names. Then briefly in 2 lines, you write what the mechanism of action is. So you know that the mechanism of action is to act on the GABA A receptor, and it increases the frequency of opening of the chloride channel. So I've drawn a supporting diagram showing that. So when the examiner looks here, he knows, yes, इस बच्चे को पता है कि benzodiazepines कहाँ act करते हैं. Then you go on to the uses. Just write the therapeutic uses in tuck in your points. And you underline the main. Suppose you're writing insomnia, underline insomnia. You're writing pre-anesthetic medication, underline the pre-anesthetic medication. जो भी explanation देनी है आपने दे दी, but underline so that he knows that you know your therapeutic uses. Similarly, for adverse effects, you will write the adverse effects in pointers. Do not write paragraphs जब आपको uses या adverse effects पूछे जाते हैं. Please, that's the worst way to answer the question. Because they are expected to know ये जो चीज़ें होती है, mechanism is in paragraph, but कभी भी uses or adverse effects paragraphs में नहीं होना चाहिए. So that was all about my takeaway as an examiner, or my take rather on how a student should attempt a paper and what makes a good paper, how a paper can be scored, well, and what differentiates it from a not so good paper. So if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and please do join my Facebook group. And I keep on adding different videos and different aspects of pharmacology or different teaching methodologies. So yeah, thank you so much and take care.